Charged after hitting 3 children with her car in Walnut Hills, is in jail tonight after facing a judge.
Prosecutors say it all started with an argument.
There is a lot of attention right now, and deservedly so, on the mob of black people attacking white people in downtown Cincinnati in and around a jazz festival, and of course how politicians have defended the mob. The police chief seems to want to obfuscate the issue and say that the real issue, of course, is that you're paying attention to it on social media, and maybe people have been overserved alcohol at the local bars.
Still an open investigation, and all potential charges are being investigated for everyone involved. All investigative tools and techniques are on the table, including, were some of these individuals overserved at some local establishments? It is clear to us that alcohol played a significant part in this incident.
But one of the things that I found the most obnoxious about this is the fact that a local news affiliate decided to do a segment where they interviewed local business owners to talk about how this savage beating against white people was giving people the misperception that downtown Cincinnati is dangerous and it could negatively impact their businesses. You know, because when you see a viral video of a woman getting sucker punched by a man for no reason at all whatsoever, when you see multiple people attack people when they're already on the ground, stomping them out, the real concern is the perception that people have of the local businesses nearby. And this just goes to show you the absolutely ridiculous attitude people have whenever it comes to stories about black on white violence. But the thing is, downtown Cincinnati is not just dangerous for white people who are walking in and around a jazz festival. What this story today tells us is that it's dangerous for the people that live there. And now we see what happens when another fight gets out of control. It goes completely unchecked, and a woman who supposedly was trying to flee the fight, which hopefully would be a good thing, ended up seeing a person that she was angry at try to run her over with the car, and what she ultimately ended up doing was hitting 3 children with her car, one of which is a 2-year-old who is expected to possibly never walk again, all over a stupid beef that had no point to it at all whatsoever. And this is the real look at the disgusting underbelly that is downtown Cincinnati. But before we get into that, I want to thank everybody who supports this channel via actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Okay?
The woman charged with hitting those 3 children is 24-year-old Jada Lucky. Not only is she facing several charges relating to the incident, but one of the children may be paralyzed.
So look, this is obviously a very serious story. It involves the injury of children. Obviously, we need to take this with the degree of seriousness that it deserves. But the fact is, the local news reporter on the scene is quite literally 15 years old, and yet she's doing a news voice of like a 28-year-old, and I cannot ignore that. I will not ignore that. I will point that out because we need a little bit of levity in this situation before we get into the details of this disgusting case.
3 children in Walnut Hills are in the hospital after police say they were run over by 24-year-old Jada Lucky. Video posted on social media before the incident shows Lucky getting into a fight with other women outside the Alms apartment complex around 2:30 Wednesday.
So look, the local news actually has video of this initial fight, which was shot on cell phone video because a bunch of people were just standing around enjoying the battle that was going on for their entertainment, much in the same way that people were enjoying what was going on in the Cincinnati brawl. But what I find interesting about this particular local news segment is that they interview somebody from this community, and it appears to be a form of the projects in downtown Cincinnati, if we're being perfectly honest. And he says almost exactly what I would normally say in these circumstances, which is when somebody's down, the fight's over, you should let it go. But for whatever reason, this lady still wanted a fight. She still had beef that needed to be settled.
Hollis Jackson was visiting his friends when he witnessed the fight.
She started grabbing her hair. She grabbed her to the ground, and she started swinging on her. Once she, once she had her to the ground, it was over with. Like, she should have just let her up. but she still wanted to fight.
Now look, he's 100% right there. His analysis of what should happen in these circumstances is dead on accurate. But the thing that I want to point out is that this woman, Jada Lucky, apparently, according to the video, acted in the same way that we saw the other attackers in the other Cincinnati brawl that has gotten much more viral attention, where she didn't end the fight when they were on the ground. She didn't let go. She didn't stop attacking because, again, this is somebody with absolutely no moral character and can be defined by her depravity. And in fact, when she decided to get in her car, she wanted revenge, and she decided she was going to seek that revenge by escalating what was a regular, ordinary street fight into an attempted murder by trying to run over the woman that she had the beef with.
Prosecutors say Lucky was trying to hit one of the women with her car and instead struck 3 children in the street, all under the age of 4.
So look, the local news ends up freeze framing the video right there, and you can actually see the woman, the target of this attack, jump out of the way at the last second from this vehicle. And then this woman ends up veering into the children that I originally described as all being under the age of 6. But this local news segment says that they're under the age of 4. Now, again, there's discrepancies in the age. They are now reporting that the youngest and the one that likely will never walk again is actually age 2. And it's absolutely disgusting and terrible. And to be clear, this woman should be charged with attempted murder and multiple counts of assault with a deadly weapon, child endangerment, and whatever the hell you could throw at her, because this is completely unwarranted. It's outside the bounds of reason. And again, it's another example of people in downtown Cincinnati not knowing when to stop, not knowing when to stop escalating, and just ratcheting up the violence. And look at the result. Children that are absolutely innocent, that were not participants in this, end up catching the strays. They end up facing the consequences for this. And for what? Because you got into a stupid fight? You were pulling each other's weaves out? You thought that was a good thing to battle over, whatever your petty dispute was? Well, now somebody's children are again in the hospital, and one may never walk again, all because Jada Lucky didn't count herself lucky that she didn't suffer a much more significant beating in the initial fight. Again, absolutely disgusting, absolutely ratchet ghetto behavior. Whatever negative adjective you want to attribute to her is totally warranted in this case. And 3 children are the victims in this particular case. One child may never walk again. And if I find a GoFundMe for this child's medical expenses, I will post it in the description. Obviously, that kid needs help. But unfortunately, what I found so far is that the mother of the child who's crippled does not actually have custody of the child due to the fact that she has her own host of problems with her life and her terrible choices. And just so you guys can understand what I mean, here's the caption from this GoFundMe, and this is basically why I can't give a full endorsement of it. It reads as follows. Hi, my name is Raven Chapman, and I'm reaching out during one of the most difficult and important times in my life. Right now, I don't have custody of my children, but I'm doing everything I can do to change that. I'm raising funds to afford legal representation that will help me fight for custody and to prepare a safe, stable, and loving home for my kids when they return. Every dollar will go toward hiring a qualified family attorney to guide me through the legal process, meeting the essential needs for my children, such as clothing, beds, and other items they'll need when they come home, creating a safe, welcoming environment that supports their growth and well-being. My children are my world, and I am fully committed to doing everything in my power to be there for them, provide for them, and give them the life that they deserve. I know the road ahead will be hard, but I'm not giving up. If you're able to donate, share this page, or offer words of encouragement, please know that it means everything to me. Thank you for believing in second chances and helping a parent fight for what matters most, family. With gratitude, Raven Chapman.
I was picking up my baby, and my baby wasn't crying. You know, my oldest, I seen he was moving, so my second look was at my other baby. And with him not having any kind of noise coming out of him or anything, that was the scary part.
She says a neighbor and she did CPR until medics arrived. The third child who was hit is her nephew and has been released. Chapman has been at the hospital for Kyer every day. Chapman says she wants her children home. Since the incident, Children's Services has opened a case and revoked Chapman's custody.
They're too young right now to be separated like this and to even be going through something so tragic like this at a young age. And I hate this just for myself, just as being their mother, because I feel like I'm failing my children.
A spokeswoman for JFS says she can't comment on the case and that they investigate reports of abuse or neglect and intervene if children are determined to be unsafe. Police have arrested and charged Jada Lucky with felonious assault in the case. Chapman says Lucky came to them looking for a fight.
I can never involve kids, not even trying to harm a kid. Like, even though I was so angry after she did that, I still didn't have a motive to even want to do anything to hers.
We asked Chapman what the fight was about. She didn't feel comfortable sharing until the legal process plays out.
So yeah, while I want to support a fundraiser that will help this young boy actually recover from the injuries that were inflicted upon him, I can't in good conscience give this an endorsement when this lady doesn't even have custody of her kids. And of course, she doesn't even pledge to use the money specifically for the medical bills. She's trying to say that she needs a second chance, and without your GoFundMe, she can't even provide a bed for the kids. Again, I don't want to get too judgmental about the victim's mother in this particular circumstances, but this is just a tragic story all around, and obviously poor family structure is involved even in the victim's case, which is what we see right here, and it's just depressing to see. So again, it's just a bad neighborhood, an absolute reflection of this community that we're seeing on display for the world to see. But they're going to cut back to my friend in this local news segment, who appears to be the voice of reason, to tell you his thoughts on what went down.
She get into her car, and I think she had a vendetta. And she was trying to hit them with the car, but instead she ended up hitting the two young kids.
So look, obviously this guy who is the narrator in this local news segment is the moral arbiter of justice in the community, and he understands exactly what's going on. However, I do want to point out that eyewitnesses can be inaccurate, and it was actually 3 children who were struck by this vehicle, by Jada Lucky, in this particular circumstance. And again, it was all based on a stupid vendetta, all based on petty revenge. And for what? Over a stupid dispute that was probably over nothing, probably over name calling, but for whatever reason, this is a reason to engage in mortal combat and try to run somebody down with your car. By the way, in addition to all the charges that I ended up setting, this woman should also never see the outside of her prison cell, but since it's Ohio, since it's Cincinnati, I'm sure she'll get a break. But even if she gets a break, she should never get a license ever again.
The detective working the case says Lucky admitted she'd been using alcohol and drugs all day. She says one of the women Lucky had been arguing with is the mother of one of the 3 youngsters. She told the judge, in addition to striking the children, Lucky also drove into that mother, and she said one of the kids may end up paralyzed.
Now look, I know the police chief of Cincinnati is likely angry that me, somebody on social media, is drawing attention to this story, drawing attention to the fact that this woman was using drugs and using alcohol all day when she got into this fight and decided to operate a vehicle, because we on social media are making it more difficult for the Cincinnati police to pretend this away. But in reality, this is what goes down in downtown Cincinnati. This is what goes down in the hood. And I know, again, the police chief is likely looking for whoever overserved her drugs and alcohol, but in my humblest of humble opinions, this woman is 100% responsible for her actions, and she should suffer the consequences.
She got in her car, and I think as she was attempting to flee the area, she saw the mother standing almost directly in front of her and plows right into everybody. The youngest of the 3 children was drugged underneath the car, and there's a possibility that he may not walk ever.
So look, the detective lays out what was already told to us by the man on the street earlier on, that she was probably trying to leave, but then decided to run over the woman that she was, of course, in the fight with. By the way, that other woman, who apparently is the mother that may or may not have custody of one of these kids, also bad in this situation for getting into a street fight with her kids there. But obviously, the real negative actor here is Jada Lucky, because she nearly killed children and may have paralyzed one, all for petty revenge. And of course, she was too high and drunk out of her mind to even realize how stupid she was actually being.
Fortunately, police say the injuries to the 3 kids are not life-threatening. Lucky is charged with 4 counts of felonious assault.
So this is why I hate the criminal justice system in these left-wing areas. While 4 counts of felonious assault sounds pretty good, let us remember what I said earlier about what the charges should be. This woman, Jada Lucky, got into her vehicle, saw the woman that she was in the fight with, and decided that she was going to intentionally try to run that woman over. In the hands of somebody like her, a vehicle is a deadly weapon. That should be at least 1 count of attempted murder. Then you could add the felonious assaults for the people that she hit, and of course attempting to hit the woman that she was trying to kill. And of course you should also have charges related to the fight that's on video. But of course Cincinnati is already trying to give this woman a break. They're already trying to say, to a certain extent, innocent Baba Angel Aladdin, and this should be surprising to no one. Again, look who's in charge of their government. Look at the people that are examining these cases, and you should not be surprised by the results. Now, look, obviously, I would love for us to be able to raise some kind of money in order to help the medical bills of the kids. Again, I will be looking for some kind of GoFundMe. It will be linked in the description if I find it. But as of right now, this is where we have to leave the story. And of course, I want to know what you guys think about all this down in the comments below. Now, as per usual, if you like this video, show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on the social medias, support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about madness in downtown Cincinnati. Till next time.